Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Welcome back to Bitch Call Your Sponsor. My name's Misty.
Hi, Misty and Sam.
Hello, Sam. Shall we do our primary purpose?
Yeah.
Our primary
purpose
is
for Misty and Sam to grow their friendship
and
maybe help
others. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, this is our primary purpose for this podcast, just so y'all know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, wait a minute. Don't get it twisted, y'all. We still, our primary purpose, stay sober, achieve sobriety. I can't even remember which one is which now. But speaking of this, let's make it all Huberman-ish and talk about, does your heart have a brain? And the spoiler alert is that yes, it does. There are about 40 neurons that are specifically in the heart and act as a brain. And one of the ways that they found this out was they did this study where they were showing these images that would make your heart palpitate. Palpit? Help me, Sam.
It's escaping me, but I know it's basically to palpitate. Yeah, increase your heart rate, basically.
It just sounds weird when you say it too slow. It's like blah, 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 blah. But what they noticed was the participants, their heart would start knowing what the next image was. It would start the racing before they showed the image. And it happened across the board. And so not only did they find out that the heart has its own brain, but that the heart actually has a type of ESP. So the way this all relates to recovery is that they were saying that you can do all the talk therapy that you want, but if you have traumas that are stored in your body, that's going to take a different type of therapy to let those go. That the brain thinking and talking about it can't resolve heart traumas. I'll leave it there.
Wow. This is first of all, you just had to say his name and my ears perked up.
Your heart palpitated.
It did. What's interesting is, does my heart have a brain? And so what I heard you say is that it does because of these studies with these images that were being shown, heart rate increased based and I would actually forecast what was coming next.
Well, that was one of the studies. Sorry, I'm jumping in. But the other part is yes, because there's these 40 neurons that are like brain-like cells that are stored in the heart. So on a biological level, your heart does have neurons that are like the brain, but it's a smaller amount.
Yeah. And then, so the last part was the trauma piece, which is I'm finding very interesting. And I'm just making sure I'm understanding this. So the traumas can't be healed with just the brain. It needs to be, because they're stored in the heart and not the brain. Is that what?
It's what this one guy proposed, saying that real deep traumas, so it's not saying every single trauma, right?
Yeah.
But certain deep traumas are stored from the brain that's in the heart. So he was saying it was physically stored in your body and that your thinking, talking about it was not going to address these certain ones that are these really, I guess, earthquake shattering traumas that would be stored in your body.
Yeah, this sounds right. I don't, I tried to do EMDR many times. Well, not many, 3. And each time I've tried to, there has not necessarily been a significant trauma, capital T, that has surfaced for them to do EMDR with me. I have worked with people that have done EMDR and TMS, which is that brain cap that people wear now. And they've had, I've been on the other side of it where I've witnessed shifts in like their whole being, which is like, it's like talk about psychic change where it's like science can really impact it, where it's like, oh wow, that shit really works. But I like this thing of the heart has its own brain. I guess I recently read somewhere like there's like an internal navigation system. For me, it's like I think of that as like our 9-step promise. We will intuitively know that intuition for me is not for my brain. It may come like a sprinkling in my brain and crown chakra area, but not like my brain, like pros and cons list. It's not that knowing. It's like this inner knowing that's more along the lines of like this God consciousness that Bill talks about, after he does all his stuff. And he's like, he went out, and I think our 10th step tells us, to test our God consciousness, right? How connected am I to myself, my higher self, the guiding spirit, all of those types of things. So I love that science, Huberman, has this thing with the heart where it's like, yeah, because the monks used to tell me like, oh yeah, you Westerners, you're so concerned with learning and knowing and building your brain, and they're like, it's overdeveloped. In fact, you're overthinking at this point.
Okay, that makes so much sense to me right now because the other part of this is that we have this electromagnetic field around us, and they say it goes out like 3 feet. What I never really understood about them saying that, and I've seen the diagrams, and it almost looks like you're in the middle of a donut, right? Like it's going out the top and it's going out the bottom, and it kind of circles around, and then we're all walking around with this electromagnetic field. And this is science. This isn't a Misty. This is real. You can go look it up. And, whatever you're feeling kind of reverberates in this little field that's within 3 feet of you. And what I didn't understand is it emanates from the heart. That's what I've learned with doing this research. That electromagnetic field is emanating from the heart. So that's how if somebody's like mad, but they're not saying it, you can feel it. That's what that is. Somebody's joyous and you just walk by them, but you could feel like, oh, like they were really happy, and you're right. It doesn't use the brain, the thinking mind for these intuitive things. And, all these NDRs that I listen to, they'll always talk about how, they saw their grandfather that passed away and he told them all these things, but he's like, but they didn't talk. We're not talking. Like talking is a very basic form is what they say in these NDEs that I listen to. Like it's very low vibration.
I love all this talk. I'm literally like, totally. I mean, well, I recently was reading that feelings are contagious. Right. So like in a work environment, the bad apple spoils the bunch. Like, yeah, that's legit. You know what I mean? Yeah. 10 of them tend to be really toxic with their words and gossip and whatever that kind of toxic culture is. And then on the feelings plane, it's whatever science has also shown it. But like there's studies like, so I've been practicing transcendental meditation, and a lot of the teaching, I think it's like a 3-day thing, is there's scientific studies that have proven based on the number of people that are meditating within a specific distance that crime rates drop and whatever, it changes the frequency. And then I've also done Kundalini, which is very, all about the energies. It's very woo-woo. I, subscribe to the turban and the wearing all white and because energetically it reflects all the colors and all of these things. But the science is there. It's like, I think a lot of it is like Joe Dispenza's work, where he's hooking up heart monitors and, there's documented cases of whatever, people being able to heal themselves. I love this heart / brain situation where it's like there is a brain in the heart, which is like mind blown,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I think what got me started on this was, I think I told you I was speaking a couple of weeks ago and there was an earthquake. And just before the earthquake, this woman's dog was pulling at the leash and really like going back and forth and pulling her. And it was a big dog. And I was like, this dog obviously has to go outside. And the woman looked really like, what are you doing? What's your problem? And within, 30 seconds, there was an earthquake. And we all felt it, And it just makes so much more sense. They say with animals that they, the birds will fly off before some disaster. All these things, like there is an intuitive heart in the universe. And it's whether we're doing the meditation and we tune into it, to that frequency, whether we're doing the Kundalini, whether we are choosing to tap into the vibration and feel it on that level. And I think that's what, the drinking, it was like I was drinking, I was drugging. I wasn't even anywhere near the vibrational level of what was going on with other people, with me, anything. And then another thing you said is, who is it? The little guy. No, the German guy.
Is it Bessel?
Tolle. Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, Eckhart, yeah.
He talks about the pain body and that he was in a restaurant and, a person came in upset and left, and then the waitress was upset, and then a new person came in and they were upset, and it was just transferring from person to person, the pain body.
Oh, I remember. Like, thank you so much for bringing that up. I remember that. This vibrational. I love this thing about the pets too. There's this book, An Immense World, where it talks about all the different. I haven't finished. It's long. It's an 11-hour plus audio situation. But it talks about the different animals and their different focuses, right? So like the dog walking around the block will find, new piss areas, to mark and or see who's been there, where I'm just thinking they just need to go to the bathroom. But their awareness is it's a different perspective,
Right.
And if I zoom out to like sobriety, it's like, that's actually... I was in the perspective of looking through things through my lens, and what's happened over the course of time is that I have more perspective in seeing it, and I'm more connected to different parts of myself that I never that whole like vibrational spiritual frequency that wasn't there. It was kind of actually being numbed out, because I couldn't sit with feelings or anything.
Right. Well, and, I know we love our queen, Renee Rapp, but this whole generation that they are in, some of the words they're using are so much more in tune with this. Like, they're like, do you get my vibe? Right. So a vibe is energy waves. And read the room. I mean, we've been saying that for a really long time, but that's what it is. That's what it's talking about. Like, read the room. Notice what's going on a vibrational level. What's going on around you that's not being said. And like, that was the problem with my drinking. I couldn't read a room. Are you kidding? Like, I had no idea whether everybody wanted me to stay and drink and talk their head off for 5 more hours or whether they wanted me out. Pretty sure now looking back, they wanted me out. But I couldn't read a room. I had no knowledge of what I was feeling in my body, much less what other people were feeling. And that was kind of it. That was why I drank, because at home, I knew too much what people were feeling, right? So now it's getting sober and about this equanimity and emotional sobriety and like learning how to balance what I'm feeling and not take on so much of what you're feeling, but be aware of it.
Call
Your
your
sponsor.
sponsor.
Call you sponsor. Call you sponsor.
Your
Call you
sponsor.
sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.
Send us an email with comments, questions, or concerns, bcysponsor@gmail.com.
Don't forget to rate 5 stars.